attendance.
All right. Do anybody have any questions about anything they read throughout the week? Anything that they may have studied or heard throughout the week pertaining to the laws of the Almighty? They might want to bring up. Anyone? No? All right. Does anyone have any questions that they always wanted to know the answer to since they've been in this way of life that they've been confused about? And no matter where you took it, the moray at the place couldn't answer your question or didn't give you an answer that was satisfactory to you? Yes.
I think every once in a while, just comes out of nowhere, if there was nobody on Earth, what would it be like?
A very peaceful place.
You think so?
Yes. In my opinion.
And with Derek, because, like, if there's nobody on Earth and there's nothing to, like, and there's nothing in the world, or there is no word, or there's nothing,
Stand up straight.
then
You're not
would
leaning
there
on
be
the
a
table.
God?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
If there's nothing, like, on Earth, or there is no Earth, or nothing, just plain old nothing, just plain whiteness, or whatever, darkness, whatever, would there be a God? Would there?
What is a God?
Yeah. Would there be,
The creator you're speaking about? So are you assuming that the creator is only the creator because of what takes place on the earth?
No. I'm just asking, if there was nothing, would there be the creator?
So if the things on earth has nothing to do with the creator being in existence, why would the creator not be able to exist if nothing was on earth? That's like asking a question like, okay, that won't work. Short answer to your intrinsic question, which is a very good question. The short answer is that the creator has always been here, always will be here, and is at the same time nowhere. Meaning that nothing can contain the Almighty. So if there wasn't an earth, there will still be a creator. If there wasn't a universe, there will still be a creator. But what would he have created to be considered the creator? He would have to create something. So let's think for a minute. Do you think that this is the only planet in creation, Earth? So when we exclude Earth, do we exclude all the other planets?
When we're saying that Earth is...
If we do away with the Earth, where the Earth is void and doesn't exist, do we do away with the other planets as well, or do we just do away with the Earth itself, or the whole universe?
Everything.
Everything in existence that we think we know of.
Yep.
Well, there are so many other things in existence that we don't know of. But let's assume everything in creation has ever been created no longer exists. It doesn't mean that the creator won't exist. Because the creator is the only thing that has no creation behind it. The creation is self-existent. He's always been, always will, and the things that are too complicated for our mind are simple for him. Like we always had a beginning, and everybody that existed on the earth had a beginning. But what was the beginning of the universe? Even the book of Genesis doesn't tell you the beginning of the universe. It tells you the beginning of the heavens and the earth, this portion of heavens, everything underneath of the high heavens. But it doesn't tell you what's beyond that and how long it's been there and when was it formed or created. It doesn't tell you all those things. We only speak about the things that we know of, like when we look up in the sky, you see the stars, and then you see the sun, and then you know the earth is here. That's the only thing that we know of, because that's the only thing the book tells us about. But what's beyond that, we don't know. That's why when you read Daniel's the 7th chapter, it speaks about the Ancient of Days, because the Almighty existed before time. And even in 7th chapter of Daniel, that's not even directly speaking of the Almighty. That's speaking of a servant of the Almighty. All right. Any other questions? Good question.
You answered the question. You said Earth would be peaceful if there was no people and stuff on it.
Can you speak up, please?
You know,
Maybe if you turn your head straight, I might hear you a little bit.
But you answered her question. You said if nobody was on Earth, it would be peaceful. It would be a peaceful place.
Mm-hmm.
But how is that?
How is it? Because everything would be free to do what it would normally do. Humans interrupt the normal nature of the earth. Like grass grows naturally, but we come with lawnmowers and chop it down. We resist the vibration of the earth being what it's meant to be, to make it more convenient for us.
That is what it's meant to be.
What?
Cut and stuff.
Cut.
Yeah.
No, if it was, it wouldn't grow. If it was meant to be cut, it wouldn't grow.
It still grows back stronger. That's like,
If it was meant, think about what you're saying. If it was meant to be cut, then there would be no need for it to grow. See, everything, that's like if we had a tree mower, we couldn't cut all the trees down, would we?
no, see, that doesn't make sense.
Go ahead.
If it's meant to be cut, that means it has to grow to get cut.
You're saying it's meant to be cut. I'm saying that it's not meant to be cut. I'm saying we cut it and we alter it for our convenience to make it more pleasing to us. We want it to look a certain way that we feel some kind of vibration when we look across it, so we chop it down and cut it down and say it looks good or looks better that way, managed or tamed by the hands of man. And when it grows naturally, we call it or consider it to be wild. But even in the wildness of growth, there's beauty. But we have been trained to not see that as beautiful. We have been trained to see that as unkept, like your hair. Human hair, black man, our hair grows, it's a beautiful thing. Our facial hair grows, it's a beautiful thing. But we have been trained to accept that as shape-ups and fades and haircuts as making us, enhancing our beauty. Can you imagine my dog walking around with a shape-up? And other dogs look at him and say, hey, Blue, you look good. Because they haven't been trained that way. Their hair grow naturally, but because we have been socially impacted with society's thoughts and ideals of reality, we look at things like haircut or weeds growing on the side of your building. We look at those things as unclean or not acceptable or ugly or not beautiful. But if you allow a building to be totally consumed with weeds, it will be beautiful. It'll destroy the structure eventually because of the convenience of man. Man wants that structure to survive. Well, the weeds are going to grow and tear it up. So man cut the weeds. We get haircuts, we mow our beards, we shape our beards. But if you notice in the scripture, the Father tells us to leave it alone. He tells the priests to hold their hair. But he tells us to leave it alone. Okay? Ain't nothing wrong with pulling or combing your hair. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But what we do is, we cut it off. The Father says for us not to shape them up, not to cut them off. But we so cool, and we worried about, or we have been so entrenched with the thoughts of society that we mar the corners of our hair. We shape them up, we cut them down, we do all type of things so it can be acceptably appeasing to society. So we can look better in society as opposed to the natural state of man. If our ancestors saw us today in our form, they will look at us and say, wow, they look so different than us. Because we do look different than our ancestors. It was a natural thing for a man to grow a beard and want to grow a beard. And we're trying to return to that, but we don't do it. We start growing facial hair, we shaving it off because the Europeans have taken hold of us and begin to alter our understanding of righteousness, justice, truth, culturalism, naturalism. They've altered all that. And when we come up, and I'm going to give you a short example about what I mean. And when we come up under that culture, we begin to imitate those teachings as if that is the proper way to live. Here's an example. In the 70s, homosexuality was something that was shunned. It was banned. Even in the 80s, it was banned. It was something that you just don't do. Well, they eased it on us real slow. And now the new cultures, as they ease it into our generations, you see it on television, you see it on radios, now you see it in the schools. Now your next door neighbor is likely to be that way. You see a lot of adults that way. Now it's more acceptable. They have altered our way of thinking now. We don't see things like we once did. So our minds have been altered, basically, is what I'm trying to say. In the old days, a woman's virginity was extremely important to a woman. Now, she ain't married, but she ain't a virgin. Something's wrong with that picture. Matter of fact, she ain't married, she's 25, and I had about 10 husbands. Something's wrong with that picture. It was normal for us to chasten ourselves from things that this culture or this society has deemed acceptable now. But in our rightful state of mind, before we was contaminated with their minds, we had our own minds. And as last week's lesson brought forward, we were expected to marry women who was virgins, pure, clean, or may have had a husband but was divorced. Today, you'll take a wife. The Creator may bless you with a virgin. I would pray that He does. But the average woman today, past the age of 25, virginity is out of the question. And she probably will come with 1 or 2 children. That's a sacrifice you have to make to determine whether you want to move forward with her. And on the flip side of the coin, most men past the age of 21 will come with at least 1 child. So that's the option that that woman has to make, whether she wants to involve herself in the life of that man who has a child, if she herself don't have one as well. This culture is not like it used to be in the ancient days. Now, back in the ancient days, it was easy for a man to take a wife and she had no children and she was a virgin and they didn't even get to 25 and 26 years old. They married young, in their teens, both parties. Or an older man would marry a younger woman in her teens. He might be 25, 30 years old. She might be 18, 19 years old. And he would marry her and have children with her. But see, men then knew their role, their responsibility. The mind state was different then, as opposed to the mind state we have today. We are not in our original form. We are so far removed from our original form, things that I'm saying to you right now may even sound foreign to you, because they have taught us against these things. Once our minds are restored to us, we will naturally know how to do what we're supposed to do. The level of accountability today for us as humans is almost none. Children are able to become children and pretend to be children for a much longer time. Like your age now. How old are you?
16.
No, I need you to speak up for the record.
16.
You would already be out getting ready for a family. You'd be already working out in the street somewhere in the world. You'd be building a life, and you'll probably be asking some other prince for the hand of his daughter. At 16 years old, if you went back in the day. And that's the truth. You would already be in some type of situation when if you was of a virtuous family. You would already be in some type of situation that has been preparing you for your future. Today, we don't really get that. You fend for yourself. The streets are hard out here. And parents don't really prepare you for your future. That's reality. It's a sad reality, but it is. And we have to get our minds right once again to become more culturally based in how our forefathers lived. You don't want to forget the ways Jeremiah 6 and 16, I think it is, 6 and 9, somewhere in there. It said, turn ye in the path of the old, in the old path, for in that way you shall find rest. Your feet will find rest. Now, although you find that old path, you incorporate it into the new today's time, and you move with it. You return back to those cultures, those habits, those traditions, which were loyalty, honor, respect, truth, love, trust. You return back into that way, incorporate that way within you, and you live out here in today's world, being circumspect of everybody and everything around you. But those who are close to you, you show that form of respect of the ancient path. The average young man today is so worried about getting out in this world trying to find a girl that he can mate with. Not for the production of family, just to mate with, to turn her out. They're so worried about using drugs and getting high, not for the sake of raising a family, but for stimulation. Not for mental illness, but for stimulation. Just so that they can fit in with society's expectation of a young black man. And we have to remove society's expectations of a young black man or a young black woman away from us. And we have to return back to the ancient ways, where a woman was a virgin till the day she was married. You know, when men knew how to be men and knew their roles and responsibilities within their families. Not out here making babies and running around the corner and then never seeing their child again or claiming that it ain't theirs. That's just in this culture, because we have been misguided and we have been taken off the path of righteousness. Any more questions?
I still don't think it would be peaceful though.
Oh, it would be peace because there would be no chaos. Man brings about chaos in this earth. Look at the animals in the wilderness. There's a natural order of things, and they will be fine. And if man wasn't here, a lot of the animals wouldn't be extinct like they are today.
And again, a lot of the animals wouldn't be here.
Which ones?
Created.
The ones that man made. What animals wouldn't be here? Because man didn't make the animals. They crossbreed some stuff.
Some animals could have extinct from other animals.
Not the natural order. The natural order of things don't allow that to happen. Chances are that wouldn't happen.
The natural order is what it is today.
No, it's not.
Everything happens for a reason.
No, it's not. The natural order is without man's intervention, intruding on things. So if man didn't intrude, then that's what natural order is. When we lived in the earth as our people, as in our righteous minds.
The refrigerator.
Is that the refrigerator?
Mm-hmm.
It is?
Yes.
What's wrong with it?
Mm-hmm. When we lived in the earth with our natural minds and our natural states, we lived in a raw form. Our clothes was 100% natural. Everything was natural. But now that we come under European domination, we almost don't have natural things almost no more. Think about it. And I know a lot of you probably ain't paid this no mind. Back in those days, our feet stayed connected with the earth. When the last time your feet been on the ground? I'm not talking about on the floor in your house. I'm not talking about on the concrete on the sidewalk. I'm talking about in the earth.
2 days ago.
Yeah, because you live in the country. See what I'm saying? But for the majority of us, it doesn't happen. We have lost that connection, and our bodies need those nutrients from the dirt, from the soil. We need those things in our bodies to keep us healthy, to keep us strong. But the Europeans have come out with things like concrete and asphalt and rubber. The majority, they didn't come out with rubber, but they alter the form of rubber. And the majority of our lives, you may be 40, 50 years old, 30, 25 years old, the majority of your life, you have not felt the earth under your feet. For the majority of your life, you felt an artificial, man-made thing. Just like you received artificial, man-made thoughts and intelligence, you haven't received the natural vibration of the earth. And when you do receive it, you put it off as if you're having a dream or a thought. But it's a natural vibration of creation that's trying to take hold of you, that you don't want to let in because you have been taught to resist it. I understand that what I'm saying right now will be far-fetched for a lot of people to even be able to comprehend right now, to be able to relate to. And I expect that. And I understand that. But these are the types of things that have cursed us, that has allowed us to become superficial, artificial, and not connected to reality. But we live in a state, an altered state of mind. And it's not good. Are there any other questions?
I don't want to go too hard.
Well, that's what this portion is for. Go hard.
Cause I'm saying like, so you don't think that everything that's happened wasn't like supposed to happen?
Give me that paper for a minute. Oh, stop. Were you supposed to give me that paper?
Yeah,
Why?
you asked.
But you had a choice in the matter, which means you had the opportunity to choose what direction and just receive the repercussions, whether you did or you didn't.
That's true.
Okay, same thing with life. People have an option to choose. We have that choice. We have the ability to make a decision. If we choose, that's what the Creator says in the book. He says for us to choose good or evil, which means He gives us that opportunity. The problem is our minds, our thoughts are more prone toward evil than good. And we choose a lot of negativity. We choose a lot of evil over the consequences of choosing good. Sometimes people say, well, shit, I'm just going to take this punishment, but I'm going to get this little bit of pleasure. Not even really taking fully into account what that punishment is going to bring about in their lives. They will take that 5 minutes of pleasure to be corrupted for many years of their future. Like a lot of people right now. A lot of people right now know that they eat too much sugar. And they do it. We do it. And then when we get 30 and 35 years old and our teeth is all rotten and corroded and falling out, and then we don't want to go to the dentist. Or we don't want to live with the pain that we have from our teeth falling out and being rotten. But we had a choice. But we are prone to do negativity or evil. So we choose to eat that candy because it tastes good. Another thing, just like a lot of people today, you hear a lot about veganism, vegetarianism, but a lot of people know that meat is killing them. It's poisoning them. I seen a picture today of a brother on Facebook. He was in a hospital. He said, Shabbat Shalom, family. I ain't feeling too good. I'm in the hospital right now. I don't know what he's in the hospital for. But the thoughts ran through my mind that had you changed your diet years ago, when it first came to you, the possibility is that these sicknesses that you have today wouldn't be upon you. And that's real for a lot of things that we're dealing with today. We'll hear it and we'll say, yo, brother, stop eating meat. And the people will be so programmed that they have to eat meat that they refuse to give it up. And then when they get 29 and 30 years old and they develop some kind of cyst and cancer and problems and they're prostrate and, heart disease and heart failure and kidney failure and lung disease. And when they develop all these different type of sicknesses, they want to know where it come from. Why am I sick? I worked out. It's because you ate that poison. Even though you knew better, you didn't prevent it from happening to you. You wanted the pleasure of the taste of that meat. I gotta eat it. I gotta taste it in my mouth. I gotta feel it. But you put aside the danger or the possible danger. And I say possible danger because it doesn't happen to everybody. Some people escape it. But the possible danger of what it could cause to you in your future, you don't think about that. Here go the thing about some people escaping it. Think about 10 families that you know. I'll say 5. 5 families that you know that's outside of yourself. And I would almost guarantee you, out of those 5 families, 4 of those families have mental, physical ailments, sicknesses. I would almost guarantee you. It's the mother, the father, the sister, or the brother. Somebody in that household got some kind of sickness going on. That's not a common thing. That's a thing of the condition that we are living in as an effect of how we have been living the majority of our lives. Think about it. They get insulin. They seeing psychiatrists. You know, they got dialysis. They got to go to dialysis. They taking medication for this, medication for that. Even the little kids today are on medication. And some of them need medication because some of them crazy. Seriously. And there's a lot to do with their diets.
But do you think that when I think about like when I think about my great-great-grandmother, she lived in the country. She lived on her own land. They grew their own food. They harvested, their own vegetables and fruits. And then they also raised up animals. And I know that not until, from just what I know about my family's history, not until they started moving into the cities, like moving to New York and into the cities and letting go of the natural way of living, that's when the illnesses started coming up upon my family. But I know from just reading about my grandmother or my great-grandmother, she lived for a very long time in that way, and she birthed 14 children naturally. And I know that they ate, the vegetables, meat, and the fruit.
Pork,
Yeah,
lard, and they lived a long time, didn't they?
Yeah, but what I was getting at was that what I think mostly with the meat now today is because it's not being grown the same way, and it's being fed different things, not just food in their mouth, but injected with things that when we eat it, we're injecting ourselves with whatever that animal was injected with. And I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, I've been eating pork," or elders. But when I hear that, I automatically think to also, yeah, you've been eating that, but it was grown a different way, and not that it was good for you, but the illnesses didn't come on you as quickly and as fast because the things that are done to that animal weren't done to the animals of today.
That's right.
So.
And a lot of people don't take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
The meat that you're eating today is not real meat.
Okay.
A lot of it is cloned. Yeah, a lot of it is cloned meat. You don't even know. And even the meat that is a live animal born like the natural way, they inject it with so many different chemicals. Mm-hmm. Like there are interviews with chicken. We making this into something, but I'm gonna leave this alone after this. But there's interviews with chicken that was born, and what they did was they shot them up with these steroids so that the chicken became super big. Well, the chickens grew so big so fast that their muscles had not the opportunity to develop. So the chickens couldn't even walk. They was wobbling around, they tried to stumble and fall, but they were so fat that they was ready to kill them. And they would cut their heads off and cut their legs off and put them in that hot water and pull them out. They're scalding hot water, all the feathers come off, and they slice them up and give them to you, and you eat them.
Yeah, I do that.
And like Ima said, what you're doing is you're eating the chemicals that they injected into those animals. Mm-hmm. You're eating those chemicals, and those chemicals, think about it, once they go into the animal, they don't go away. they become a part of the animal's DNA.
Mm.
And then you
Okay,
take
they
that
lay
animal
eggs.
and you cook it, and it becomes a part of you. You're ingesting it. Yes.
So, if you like, if you like kill a chicken your own way, is it still good to eat it? 'Cause
If you raise the chicken from birth, fed the chicken had babies, you fed that one, raised that from birth, that one had babies, and you did that for about 10 generations, then you would have a real chicken. Okay?
Oh, you mean it's like a dilution process?
Yeah,
Like you have to
that's right.
go through so many generations before you get to the animal that's more authentic
That's
than
correct.
what you.
Yeah, because it takes 4 to cancel out and stuff in another form.
So, same thing with fruit. The fruit we eat today is not as nutritious as the fruit from yesterday. That's why we buy what you're eating. We try to buy organic fruit because it's as close to the original as we can get today. The original fruit is, I think it's 30 to 40% times more nutritious than the fruit we eat today. A lot of its nutritional value has been lost because of the soil is not rich. A lot of depletion has taken place in the soil with the vitamins and nutrients they're missing. And although the plants still grow and bear forth seed and fruit, it's not as rich and strong as it used to be when everything was good.
Do you think that that process is also due to the consumption of how we eat so much of it and so fast? Because
labor.
so they pick it too early.
Oh, that's possible. It's possible that it's because they pick it too early, but it's also possible that it's not in the, I mean, not even possible, I know it for a fact, that the soil is not rich in nutrients. The nutritional value of the soil has been depleted. So that I know for a fact. All right, are there any other questions?